More than $1.5 billion reached the bank accounts of student athletes last school year, and the Lone Star State tallies up a large portion of the massive new segment of the sports economy. Headlines often focus on the massive deals in Division I football and basketball, like the University of Texas quarterback Arch Manning, who has a projected NIL valuation of nearly $7 million. But the relatively new rules allowing student athletes to be compensated while they're still in college touch athletes far beyond the national spotlight. John Neese, Hardin-Simmons University Vice President for Athletics, says he thinks the move is fair.
After all of these years where athletes, especially at the Division I level, were receiving minimal compensation for what they were doing, I think it was time for those athletes to receive some sort of compensation. I think, like with so many things, we went from 0 to 100 very quickly, and I don't think there's any going back from it.
After the rules were changed in 2021 to allow student athletes to receive compensation for their name, image, and likeness, the new rules were expanded to allow schools to pay them. But very few schools are paying players directly at this point, and the smallest schools don't even give athletic scholarships. NIL opportunities at smaller schools often take the form of sponsorships or product deals rather than large cash payments.
What I've seen for Division III is we've primarily had NIL deals for product. Then it's basically they're receiving some sort of trade out in merchandise or product for what they're doing on social media. And so we do have a handful of athletes who shared with me that they have received something to where they receive a monthly cash payment. It's not a huge amount of money, but for a college student, it's still nice to have.
College is also not cheap. It's not the cheapest.
Brennan Ramirez is a libero, a key defensive position in volleyball for Abilene Christian University.
Second serve from Ramirez is a good one. Line drive just over the net. A big swing.
And I just think being able to have sponsorships and get money, I think that is very beneficial to an athlete, especially people who just weren't raised in an atmosphere where money was just easier to access. I think it's super beneficial, and I think it also helps you so much be I can love the game and I can focus and perform and not worry about how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for that? So I think it's very beneficial.
Ramirez began her career at the University of Texas, one of the top-ranked teams in the country. With that comes a lot of experience and a lot of noise when it comes to NIL. Some of her former UT teammates benefit from NIL deals, like Madison Skinner, who was the first student athlete to sign a deal with HEB. But Ramirez stresses that money hasn't changed the core of the team.
Absolutely not. At Texas, they're great girls, and they all love God as well. And I think they let God, keep them rooted. And, Maddie Skinner, for example, amazing person. Yeah. She's super sweet, not only good at volleyball, but she's also amazing, while also having a bunch of NIL deals. I just think she works hard for everything that she has, and she's also a really good person. So I don't think it really, changes.
Ramirez says NIL is a tool that enhances an athlete's experience rather than defines it. For those like her who are part of the 99% not receiving massive deals, the benefits are still meaningful.
Well, I feel like I could definitely categorize myself as the 99%. So I think just really focusing on my job right now and then being able to slowly move into it. I definitely don't think an athlete needs to have a ton of NIL deals to be great. And I just think stats mean more than what you see on social media. And I think NIL just builds onto confidence.
And while he's a fan of the deals, Hardin-Simmons' John Neese admits compliance can be tricky for small programs.
At a Division III school where so many of us wear different hats, my initial reaction was of concern because I'm the one whose name is on compliance. From my perspective in the chair I sit in, I was concerned about, A, how do we make sure people understand there still is compliance with this? How do we track that compliance? And then C, how do we educate people about what are the things that truly make up NIL?
Hardin-Simmons relies on a company to help educate the students on compliance and connect them to opportunities.
Yeah, so we're in our third year of working with a company called Open Doors, which is out of Omaha, and they come on our campus twice a year and meet with all of our athletic teams and share with them what Open Doors can do for them, but then they also share a lot of the education.
Despite the challenges, Neese says NIL is increasingly important.
Even if students don't ever utilize the opportunities for NIL. I think they want to feel like they at least have the option to do it.
It may take years to see where all the ripples reach, and in the early years of this new arena, coaches will likely find themselves not only guiding their players through growth on the field, but needing to help them navigate the rules and perks of being paid as college athletes. I'm Josiah Wonnell in Abilene.
Light pollution is so pervasive that most people don't really engage with the night sky in the way that we all used to.
Bray Falls is the co-founder of Starfront Observatories.
Talk to any random person like in a city, they may have never even seen the Milky Way before at all.
Starfront Observatories opened last year near a tiny town about an hour south of Abilene.
This is the largest scope of the observatory that we're working on right now. It's a 24-inch f3 newt. We got Nereides, the supernova remnant, to show up in a single 5-minute subframe. So this thing's got some beastly light collecting capability, and we're gonna put it to work. Hopefully do some science stuff with it in collaboration with the Planetary Science Institute, maybe a little NASA, who knows. We're gonna try to do some real stuff with that scope.
Bray Falls says the project offers stargazers a chance to enjoy the views of the night sky above Texas from wherever they are.
We provide access to dark skies, really good observing conditions at a way that's accessible in a way that it hasn't ever been before.
Here's how it works. Instead of traveling to West Texas, people send their telescopes to the observatory, then log in from anywhere in the world to use them.
If they're in an apartment, they don't have a backyard to set up a telescope. No matter what their situation is, they have the accessibility to actually do the hobby they love the most, which is astronomy.
That's true for Carlos Garcia, an astrophotographer who checks his telescope from his home in Miami.
I live in Miami, Florida. Very light polluted city, and I'm in a suburb of Kendall, which is, a very light polluted area.
Garcia says it's more than just convenience.
It was like 2 or 3 days. I was already up and running, fully connected to the internet. I could log into it from my computer in Miami, even from my iPhone.
Fall's inspiration to build Starfront came from his own early experiences with the night sky.
As soon as I picked up the telescope and a camera, I just wanted to share photos of what I was seeing with friends and family.
That passion grew into Starfront's mission to make the universe more accessible to everyone. Local experts like longtime astrophotographer Paul Wertheim says West Texas is uniquely suited for this kind of project.
Probably two things. One is lack of large cities. You have Abilene, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, not really huge cities, but they're spread apart. But then also just the amount of wide open space.
Altitude and geography matter too, according to ACU astronomy and physics professor Donald Eisenhower.
As you go further west, the air gets drier above. By the time you get to West Texas, the main difference is altitude. The lower you go, the worse it is. So as you head toward the coast, things are worse.
Starfront's co-founder Bray Falls says choosing West Texas was about finding the perfect balance of natural and modern resources.
So the skies are really dark. It's clear for most of the year, so it's pretty dry out here. But also it has really good infrastructure, which makes scaling this business important. Like we have good power, we have fiber internet, which is super critical for us because we had hundreds of customers logging in remotely and moving tons of image files around.
That rare mix makes West Texas ideal for building what Falls says is now the world's largest remote observatory by the amount of telescopes. And in Starfront's first year in operation, clients were able to log into their telescopes 260 nights. Falls says it's rewarding to help people connect with the night sky they may have never truly seen. Capturing images from the heavens can be moving. Paul Wertheim says astrophotography has a way of opening people's eyes in moments like that.
To see things that most people just don't see, particularly if you've grown up in cities most of your life. People go to Big Bend. If you look at comments on TripAdvisor or people post on Facebook about their trip to Big Bend, one of the things that stands out is that they've never seen so many stars when they look up.
At Starfront, Falls says his team works with people at every level, from beginners just starting out to seasoned astrophotographers.
We answer everyone's questions, whether or not they're like a total beginner, all the way up to like someone super experienced. We handle all walks of the astrophotography life.
550 telescopes have been placed at the Starfront Observatory, and with so many telescopes under one roof, automation is key to keeping them safe.
So we have an automated roof system here that is constantly watching for if it gets cloudy or if it gets rainy, if there's too much wind, if there's too much humidity or moisture, the roofs will close themselves.
The remote telescopes of Starfront, trained on the wide open skies of West Texas, reveal that this is one of the best places in the country to look up. And thanks to technology, more people than ever can share that view. I'm Josiah Wonnell in Abilene. For the last 5 years, the Donch Jones Youth Sports Center has hosted hundreds of sporting events, but all were inside. That is no longer the case with the Abilene Youth Sports Authority's newest venture. The ROC, short for the Recreation Outdoor Complex, opened this fall aiming to give more local kids and families the space to play, compete, and connect. For Brandon Osborne, the executive director at the Abilene Youth Sports Authority, that was the whole point.
One of the visions that we've always had at AYSA is to try to have opportunities for kids to come play, be in a safe, clean, excellent, but then also try to teach the values of Christ through the sport. And try to impact coaches, parents, and players through that.
The fight to make the ROC a reality demonstrates one of the key lessons coaches try to instill in their players: determination. The outdoor expansion is the latest phase of a project that didn't gain traction early on. 20 years ago, when the Abilene Youth Sports Authority first pitched the plan and a more than $17 million bond, it didn't get onto the ballot. In 2008, voters rejected a plan to spend $15 million on the project. Supporters were finally able to pick up steam through public-private partnerships, with the city of Abilene offering a deal on the property and helping cover some of the infrastructure, and private donations covering construction of the indoor facility. In 2023, they finally broke ground on the outdoor fields. Now 10 new fields, 4 with turf, 6 with grass, all outside, are open for business.
Indoors is basketball and volleyball and pickleball, and now outdoors will be football, soccer, ultimate frisbee, rugby, all the outdoor, anything outdoor. We want to try to impact every kid in their specific line of interest in terms of sports.
Even the complex itself was designed with busy families in mind. At the center sits a spacious clubhouse where Osborne says parents and siblings can rest and watch the games, rain or shine.
Then we also have what we think is a separator, is the clubhouse that sits in the middle. And that clubhouse has offices as well as meeting spaces, as well as like a loungy areas for parents and like a kids indoor play area.
Osborne says they developed the spaces for fans with practical concerns in mind, as many parents juggle cheering on one child while caring for another.
And so the clubhouse allows for both of those to occur. So they can theoretically be in our clubhouse while at the same time watch their kids play in a climate controlled environment versus having their kids out in the elements.
Local resident Kenneth Isabor says the ROC is a welcome option for families who want a safe, reliable place to play.
I think it'd probably help for, feeding into school programs. It's a bit more safer places to do events of just the parks we have, so that's neat.
AYSA wants families near and far to find this venture to be an attractive option. Brandon Osborne says they hope creating such a well-planned facility will help make the ROC a regional youth sports destination.
We want to try to draw some of the surrounding larger cities like the Lubbocks, Midlands, Odessa, San Angelos, and also involve some of our smaller communities so they can compete against the bigger communities as well.
Backers of this project have touted the economic benefits, saying it saves the teams money and brings in extra dollars to the local economy from visiting teams. According to the Abilene Convention and Visitors Bureau, visitors spend on an average of $200 per day per athlete. The AYSA projects the facility will generate more than $250 million over the next decade. The complex isn't completely finished, but Osborne says activities are already in full swing. Teams began with soccer and flag football just before the grand opening. More sports, including spring leagues and tournaments, are around the corner.
We're going to start a lot of different activities. I mean, we'll have spring soccer that will kick off. Different groups that want to come in and do ultimate frisbee. We're going to try to work on a grass volleyball tournament.
It's not just ultimate frisbee or grass volleyball either. Organizers are wide open to hosting sports that aren't as common in West Texas, like rugby and lacrosse, maybe even Quidditch. Now that it's built, they expect all kinds of sports fans to come. I'm Josiah Wonnell in Abilene.
Indoor, outdoor. This year, a spooky tradition just got even better. The Abilene Zoo is experiencing one of its busiest seasons of the year. The annual Fall Festival, now held every weekend throughout October, has become a major attraction for families in the community. Combining festive fun with a strong message of wildlife education and conservation, the event draws thousands of visitors eager to engage with the animals and learn about their care.
I oversee all of the animals in the zoo, and I also oversee the keeper staff that maintain the animals. So my role is basically to make sure the animals are all doing great, and we communicate with each other to make sure events like this, that the animals are comfortable.
Robert Trejo is the general curator for the Abilene Zoo. He says that the Fall Festival marks the start of the zoo's busiest period leading into the holidays. Attendance has increased steadily over the years.
This is one of our biggest attractions, and normally we in the past we used to do it one weekend. Now we do it for the whole month of October, every weekend in October. So it does draw in quite a number of guests. Yesterday, I know we went well over 3,000.
For Trejo, each visitor is an opportunity to advance the zoo's conservation and education mission. The festival isn't simply about costumes and candy, it's a chance to spark interest and awareness about wildlife.
And that is 3,000 plus people that we can actually teach about animals and wildlife and conservation. So they don't coming to the zoo is not just about the festivities and the candy and the costumes, the dance party and the show, but during the time we have keeper chats. We've got interactions with animals. We have our show, our Creepy Creature show, which we highlight some of our other animals that most people are kind of squeamish about, like snakes and lizards and tarantulas and bugs.
One key goal of the festival's education program is to create lasting impressions on its youngest visitors.
Well, I think because they get to see the animals up close and they're live. So I think that it resonates more. They can see it and even touch it at times. And I think also they're enjoying themselves, so they remember, so there's memories there. We do have a lot of kids who have, when they're young, they show interest in volunteering when they're in their teens. And we have our teen volunteer program, or zoo teens, we call it zoo teens.
Christine Brown, the zoo's education coordinator, emphasizes the unique value these live animal encounters provide compared to traditional classroom learning.
When we talk about how important it is for conservation and really taking care of the wildlife, it really speaks volumes when you actually get to see the animals up close and personal. So most of our educational programs have some sort of interaction with the animals as well, and that becomes those core memories for those kiddos and really grows those seeds of conservation and becoming animal wildlife protectors.
Brown also highlights how the community's participation supports the zoo's ongoing education efforts.
So the zoo does so many things throughout the year, and all of the proceeds and things that go to it go right back into the zoo, and us being able to continue our education programs that we have. So just coming to the zoo really does help continue pushing the educational side of everything that we do here at the zoo.
I had to guess what animal I had to do. Okay. I had to guess it, and it was like a roach.
Cody Vanderpool brought his kids to the opening weekend of Boo at the Zoo. He says he loves to bring his kids for the many benefits, including education.
Being in an environment like this with education and everything, it just brings kids together. It lets them explore together, work as a team in some cases when they have little projects and stuff like that. So,
from a parent's viewpoint, the event offers an extended opportunity for children to enjoy their costumes and family time during the holiday season.
My kiddos will get costumes every year, and this way you can come bring your kiddos and you get use out of that costume more than one day a year. You're going to get all of the use out of the costume if you bring them, and we have costume contests and all kinds of things. So I think it's just a really fun event to have, especially during the holidays.
With 2 weekends left in October, the Abilene Zoo continues to invite the community to participate, offering not just festivities, but meaningful education experiences that foster lifelong appreciation and stewardship of wildlife. I'm Josiah Wonnell in Abilene. This fall, high school sports in Texas will see a major shift to Friday night lights. A new state law, Senate Bill 2929, now empowers referees and officials to eject disruptive fans without prior warning. That's a big change from former UIL rules, which mandated a verbal warning before anyone could be removed.
Senate Bill 2929, authored by Senator Brannon Creighton and co-authored by Tan Parker, amends Section 37.105 of the Texas Education Code. It explicitly allows game officials at school district or UIL-sanctioned athletic events to act immediately at the first sign of bad behavior, no verbal warning required. The law signed into legislation back in May was designed to cut down verbal and physical confrontations with officials. But how it plays out in real time, that's the question. Supporters argue it streamlines action in high-pressure moments, especially where confrontations escalate quickly. Critics, however, warn this removes a layer of due process and gives too much unchecked discretion to officials. Dennis Campbell, a board member of the Abilene football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, says the change is about safety, not control.
Well, it's important because it distracts us from the job that we came to do. We're not here to be verbally abused, physically abused. We're here to call a ball game and as fair and as clean as we can. As far as impacting us, if it gets to the point where it's just unbearable, that's when we usually take control of it.
In terms of what the players will see, it likely won't look much different.
At the end of the day, it's a football game, and we're going to call it the same way we always call it. We get control of the dead ball stuff early, and we knock that stuff out. So, our main goal is to not to throw anyone out, but if it comes to that, then we will eject them. But we try to shut down all extracurricular stuff and just focus on football. We'll tell the young men that, hey, let's just play football. We didn't, and that's usually what it comes to. So.
Under Senate Bill 2929, once an official decides a fan must go, there's no going back. Schools can even face consequences. Some districts warn that reaching a certain number of ejections might cost them home field officials later in the season. Law enforcement now plays a more defined role too. Cody Joslitt with the Abilene Police Department describes how his department would handle these situations.
So if a referee might find an administrator from the school district, meaning like the athletic director or assistant athletic director first, and then they might get one of us as to help them escort a fan out of the game if needed, just to make sure they're safe and they don't cause any issues or get physical with ASC staff or any of the administrators that are here at the game.
For parents and fans, the new rule means words and actions in the stands matter more than ever. What used to just draw a warning could now mean a trip out of the stadium. Texas isn't the first state to pass a measure like this, but with high school sports being such a big part of the community, all eyes will be on how it's enforced. For referees, coaches, officers, and families in the stands, the hope is that it creates a safer, more respectful environment for high school athletic events. I'm Josiah Wonnell in Abilene.